Good evening, everybody. My name is Niru Padmanabhan, and we are live on Public Allies Inc. We are a nonprofit organization, and we work to serve the most vulnerable in society. And prior to COVID, we did programming for vulnerable individuals, women, children, seniors, at-risk youth. But when COVID happened, we were no longer able to congregate, and we came online and we became a hybrid educational platform where we bring you webinars every single week about different topics that'll help move you forward. And oftentimes we bring you out of the box topics, and we bring you great webinars, roundtable discussions. And people ask us why so many eclectic topics. And we ask people, what are you curious about? What do you want to know about? What gives you anxiety? And oftentimes people say, I get anxiety from this type of topic. I'm anxious about how to do my resume. I'm anxious about digital media. I'm anxious about how to set my goals. I'm anxious about what are goals. And I'm anxious about buying a new home, getting in a new home. I'm anxious about my finances. So we bring you education. So education is the great equalizer. The more you know, the more informed you are, the better steps that you can take towards yourself. So here we are, Public Allies, as an educational platform, bringing you new webinars, roundtable discussions, and interviews every single week to help you move you forward in your life. And as I always do forget to introduce myself, my name is Miru Padmanabhan. I am a trained mental health professional, as well as I'm a financial professional. So if you need any help with your insurances, investments, any debt solutions, give me a call. I'm on Public Allies Inc. And I also have my own webpage. But today we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about goals today. And we have our very own, so lucky to have you, Jacob Lethbridge. He's a part of Public Allies, joined us recently after we said, hey, Jacob, you're so amazing. After some roundtable discussions, we got to know Jacob better, and we said, hey, Jacob, come on board with us at Public Allies, because everything that we're doing aligns so much. So let's do this. Let's have this journey together of helping individuals and making the world a better place. So just so as I introduce Jacob, Jacob is a motivational speaker, author, content creator, dedicated to helping people to inspire their lives. In 2016, Jacob's son passed away, and that experience changed his life forever. It was that turning point in his life that became a catalyst for him to help other people live inspired lives, to writing books, creating content, and speaking on stages all over the world. Jacob believes we can all live inspired lives by focusing on our strengths rather than our weaknesses, living with intention, and looking for good in our daily lives. So as we say that, as I talk about Jacob, that's only a small snippet of what Jacob does. Jacob is absolutely amazing. I know he always smiles when I say that, but we just finished talking, and I said, every time I talk to you, Jacob, I learned something absolutely new and amazing about you. So I am a Jacob Lethbridge fan, and I give it to you, Jacob. So go ahead, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Niru, and thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate you. I'm going to start off by just saying I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you watching this. So my heart goes out to you, and I'm grateful that you're here. Today, we're going to be talking about creating what I call the D.R.E.A.M, and that's an acronym. And when I share my screen, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm going to just share it now so we can get started. Awesome. So hopefully you can see that. I don't have the chat up, but I have faith that you can see it. So today we're going to be talking about creating the dream. I'm going to take you through my story. Hold on. Okay. You're going to get to know me a little bit. We're going to go through my story, how I got to where I am today by following the advice that I'm about to give you in this presentation. So you're going to walk away with a lot of value. I'm also going to talk about confidence, because creating any type of dream goal has to involve confidence. Not only confidence just in the exterior world, but also on the inside and you being confident as an individual. So I'm really, really excited about that part. And I'm also going to teach you how to create an anchor. So that's an NLP technique, which is neuro-linguistic programming, on how you can actually anchor yourself to feel more confident, to feel more successful, to feel like you're actually achieving something more. So I always like to preface any presentation I do. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave them in the comment section below. So at the end of the presentation, I can address them. I don't have a live chat going on, so we will see them after, and I'm sure Niru will take care of that for me on that end. So without any further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me first. I mean, Niru already gave me an amazing introduction, but I want to tell you a little bit about how I got to where I am today. So you'll see 3 separate pictures here. And the first picture on the far left-hand side of my screen, it's the black and white one. It's a picture of me actually holding my son who passed away. He was 23 weeks at the time it happened. And it was the most game-changing point in my life. You know, I had just gotten married about 2 months before, in December of 2015. And my wife and I had gone on our honeymoon, and everything kind of went downhill after that. You know, the hospital trips became more frequent. I'm not going to get really graphic here, but we were in and out of the hospital for about a month. And after that point, we were in the labor and delivery room, and the doctor said, you know, he's not going to make it. And that was just something that no parent ever wants to hear. And it's something that, you know, as it sunk down deep in my heart, I had been thankful in that moment that I had the opportunity to be studying self-growth, personal development, and spirituality, because that honestly is what pulled me through it. And as you can see in the middle picture, that is a picture of my daughter now, and as she's been kind of growing. So there she is using my new microphone and my headphones that I got. And, you know, I say this and I wanted to show those pictures because I believe that anything bad that happens carries with it the seed of an equivalent good or a greater benefit. And I'm a firm believer that if anything ever happens in your life, it's happening for a purpose, and it's happening to help you grow. Like, if my son hadn't passed away, I wouldn't have been on the course and the path that I am now. I wouldn't be able to speak to people around the world, teaching them about having faith, creating goals, creating that inspired and that authentically inspired life. So here's my caveat for this. When something bad happens, what do? Do you ask yourself those disempowering questions? Like, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? And why am I being punished by God, by whatever spiritual entity that you believe in? I challenge you, though, when a negative experience happens, to flip those kinds of questions and say, what good is here that I cannot see? What can I give? And what can I celebrate? And in that moment, when my son passed away, I asked myself those 3 questions. What good is here that I cannot see? And I just asked and I waited for the answer. The good was that my wife was still alive, so we had a chance to have another baby. The good was that, you know, we were in one of the best hospitals for this kind of thing in Southern Ontario. You know, now what can I give? Now you might be thinking, what can I give? All I could give in that moment was, you know, myself, you know, my positive spirit to my wife, to just say, like, it's okay. Like, we're going to get through this. Things will be better on the other side. And the last question was, what can I celebrate? Now, it's probably not the type of question you would think when you're holding, you know, your newborn who's just passed away, thinking about what you can celebrate. But I've trained myself by this point to say, When something bad happens, I have to change the vibration. I have to change the way I react, the way I respond. And when that happened, when I asked myself, what can I celebrate? It brought back a flood of memories that we had when he was still in my wife's stomach. Like I always say to this day, like since he was in my wife's stomach, when we got married, that he was my best man. We brought him, he came with us on the honeymoon. And I don't know how many parents out there would even think about bringing a kid on your honeymoon, but I digress a little bit here and just say, without him, without that experience, we wouldn't have done a lot of what we did. And it's because of those experiences that we could celebrate the short life that he had. And it made me remember that life, we have to make each day matter. We have to be authentic in ourselves. And we have to create what we want out of life because we don't know how much time we have. But the story is good because after 8 miscarriages and countless trips to the doctor, fertility specialists, all this kind of stuff, being told we couldn't have children, as you can see, we have a beautiful daughter now. And she follows in my footsteps. She loves to talk. She loves to get on video. And she loves to sing and dance. So without further ado, let's get into creating the dream. But first, I want to share this quote. It's one of my favorite quotes. It's from an anime actually called Naruto. And it's from one of the main antagonists. And he says, people's lives don't end when they die. It ends when they lose faith. Now, think about that for a while. People's lives don't end when they die. It ends when they lose faith. So I ask you and I challenge you, what's something that you may have lost faith in? Is it yourself? Maybe it's your goals. Maybe it's your relationships. Whatever it is, I encourage you and I challenge you to reignite that flame. And I hope that this presentation can help you do that. So what are dream goals? Dream goals are the goals that push you to stretch and grow. I always say, if you know how to do something, it's not a big enough goal. Because if you know the roadmap to get there, then it's not really a goal. It's more just, going through the motions to get where you need to go, right? Dream goals are the ones that help you fill your soul's purpose. Now, like I said earlier, I'm a huge spiritual person. I believe in a higher power. I believe that we are just spiritual beings living in physical bodies. And, your soul's purpose is that thing that excites you, that lights that fire inside your belly, that says, how can I best serve out my highest good and my highest purpose? Something that you just know instinctually. You wake up and you say, okay, today I'm here to make a difference. I'm here to inspire someone. I'm here to be the best mom I can be. I'm here to be the best cashier I can be. I'm here to be, the best dad I can be, to be, the best accountant I can be. Whatever it is, whatever your soul's purpose is, that's something that lights that fire in you. And dream goals help you get there. Dream goals are the type of goals that get you excited to wake up in the morning. Those ones where you're like, okay, it's Monday morning. Like, thank God it's Monday. I'm sure a lot of you don't say that very often, but once you start to develop those dream goals and you have those big goals out there, you start to wake up and say, thank God it's Monday. Or you just don't even recognize what day it is because you're just working towards something that you absolutely love. And dream goals are the ones that when you tell people, they look at you like you're crazy. So for example, like one of my dream goals was to be an international motivational speaker. And when I told, friends and family about this, they actually looked at me like, okay, you're just some small town kid. There's no way you're going to reach people around the world. And now, through my online courses, through my presentations, I have reached people in almost every country in the world. And to me, that classifies as international. See where I'm getting at? So let's break it down. So DREAM, as you may have seen, is an acronym. And I break it down into 5 different words to spell out the word dream. So the first one is desire. And desire is the starting point of all achievement. And that was from Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. It's the very first chapter, and he talks about how having a burning desire is what helps fuel you to get to whatever you're going after. So having a strong desire to do something gives you the power to do it. So think about maybe a goal that you have had in the past. Were you excited to go after it? Or were you kind of slunched back saying, well, it'll happen when it happens, right? No, when you have goals and you have big dream goals, you focus on creating that excitement to go after it. So desire is what fuels the fire of your mission, your purpose, and your goals. So that's why, I agree with Napoleon Hill when he says desire is the starting point of all achievement. Because if you don't desire something strong enough, you're not going to go after it, and you're not going to develop the energy to go after it. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. So without desire, you're going to lose that momentum, right? Like if you're someone who's like, okay, I'm going to do this, and you do it for a day, and then you go, well, it would be nice, but meh, you're going to lose that momentum and the goal is going to drift away. Whereas if you're someone who's like, I'm going to make this change because it's going to make me a better person, it's going to help a lot of people, and I feel like it's what I need to do, and every day you work toward it, you're going to be miles ahead of those people who have lost that momentum. So desire is a good place to start. The next one I put on here is reason. And it's kind of like why you do what you do. So for me, I look at my daughter every single day and I just remind myself, she's the reason I do what I do. I want to be a good role model for her. I want to give her a life that I never had. I want to show her that anything is possible in this world. And I want to show her that if you have an idea in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. She's my reason I do everything, because I would never let my son's death go in vain and be given a second chance with a rainbow baby to say, okay, I'm just going to wallow in my own self-pity. So she's the reason I do what I do. And I also love to inspire people. I love to see people grow. I love to see people reach that next level. That's like my secondary reason. And this pairs with desire, because if you don't have a strong reason for what you're doing, you're not going to really have that strong enough desire to maintain that momentum. So really think about the reason why you want the goal, and that desire will come with it. So here's a few questions that I put off to the side to help you find your reason. So like, what pain are you trying to get rid of, right? Like with anyone, you're either going after pain or you're going after pleasure. So what pain are you trying to get rid of, and what pleasure are you trying to gain from it? Where did you first gain interest in what you're doing? Is there something or someone important to why I want to do this? So for me, it's my daughter, right? And am I doing what I'm doing to solve a problem for myself or for others? So for me, a lot of the problems that I've solved through my goal setting has actually been a problem that I've had myself. Like when I wrote my book, Make Today Matter, A Guide to Living Life to the Fullest, it was literally my own experiences of going through manifesting, through goal setting. And I was like, I'm just going to write it all down. And that's what I did. And I just made a book out of it because I was like, okay, if this can help me, it can help other people. And that was my thought process for it. So those are some questions. Feel free to watch the replay if you need help writing them down. So that way they're there for you again. Now, the next letter in the dream model is energy. So I think it was, I can't remember the person who said it, but he said, do the thing and you will have the energy to do the thing. So you create energy by moving toward your goals and taking action. And if you do the thing, you'll have the energy. So a good example of this is, let's say you're someone who doesn't want to exercise. Okay, exercise is a really easy example, and I'm probably going to use it a few times throughout this presentation. So let's say you're someone who doesn't enjoy exercise. I encourage you to just put your shoes beside your bed or wherever you are and just start moving. Just do something. if that's your goal to get in really good shape, just start doing something. So maybe it's lifting weights. Okay, do 10 reps, see how you feel. Okay, and then once you're done that, do another 10. Okay, then maybe try a different exercise, do maybe 10 of those, and then do another 10. Before you know it, the lack of energy that you had to do it is gone, and now you've done almost a full workout, right? So as you start to move towards your goal, you'll start to gain the energy that you need. Energy is generated by us. It's not something that we get. Energy is something that we create and that we generate. So with that, we'll move on to action, because energy leads into action. So nothing happens without action, right? Like you can sit on your couch all you want, but you're never going to get that six-pack sitting there. Okay. Desire, reason, and energy will naturally move you toward action. So once you have that strong desire to go, for whatever you want, you have that reason why you want it, and you start to move, you'll have the energy and the action to start actually moving toward it. So when you take the action, you'll gain the energy. Combine that with your desire and your reason, and you will become unstoppable. Okay. And I have a quote down here at the bottom from Tony Robbins that says, the only impossible journey is the one that you never begin. And there's a common one that goes around that says the 1,000-mile journey begins with step one. And, never feel ashamed for starting, way back here, when maybe someone who already has achieved all the successes like way over here, but you're only on step one, because they were once at step one too. So just start taking action. So measure your success. And this is why I was talking about fitness. So keep a journal to see where you started versus where you are. This is a great way to kind of see your progress, because sometimes we get so wrapped up in our own goals and our own kind of world of where we are that we can't really see where we're at. It's like if you live with someone and you're losing a bunch of weight, they notice the progression a lot easier than someone that maybe you haven't seen in 6 months. And they go, oh my God, you look so good. Like you've lost all this weight. And then you wonder, okay, why hasn't my spouse said anything? But they've been seeing you make this transformation. So fitness is a really easy example to use here, because you can take before and after pictures. So this is a 1-year transformation for me. So prior to COVID, and then I think this was taken just last week, this other picture here. So it's a big difference. So in the picture on the left, where I'm noticeably bigger, I was at my heaviest, most unhealthy that I've ever been in my life. I think about 210 pounds there. And on the picture on the right, where I'm looking a lot thinner, a lot more muscular, I'm down to about 160 pounds. So I lost like 50 pounds-ish, which is a lot, over the course of a year. But think about it, how long did it take me to put that weight on? Right? So a lot of people, when I talk to them about like health and fitness advice, they say, oh, well, I want to lose 30 pounds in a month. Number one, that's not healthy to do. Number two, think about how long it took you to put on the weight, and understand that weight loss is more of a lifestyle change. I don't believe in fad diets like keto or anything like that, because they're not sustainable, right? I believe in just focusing on what you eat and then creating a lifestyle around, what you want to achieve, right? Like for me, I wanted to be healthy. Like I was at a point where going up the stairs, I was being exhausted. And I was like, I cannot do this for my daughter. Like, again, there's that reason, right? Like I want to be the best dad I can be. So how can I do this? Get in shape, be able to run more than 5 minutes without feeling like I'm about to die, and be able to at least get up the stairs and still have my breath by the time I'm up there, right? So as you keep track of your wins and reflect on them, like I reflect on my wins daily, but you can do it monthly to start. And this can go with anything, right? Like weight's just a really easy example, but you can do it with, like, say you want to increase your income. Okay, set yourself a target. Like you want to earn an extra $500 this month. Great. At the end of the month, you'll be able to see, okay, this week I earned an extra $100. this week, oh, I was really good. I earned an extra $200. Okay, now you're up to 300. By the end of the month, you'll either reach it or you won't. But as you measure your success and over the course of a year, if you keep setting yourself goals like that and then pushing it farther, you'll look back and go, wow, I can't believe I only set myself a goal of $500 when I could have been earning an extra $5,000 a year or a month, right? Okay. So what if you don't know what you want? Where do you start? How to gain clarity. So we're often looking for answers outside of ourselves, right? Like we're looking to social media, we're looking to the news, we're looking to self-help gurus. When in reality, all the answers we need are within us, and they can be discovered through meditation, through spiritual work. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit later in the presentation. But clarity comes from tuning out the noise of the world and thinking about what you really want, not what social media tells you that you want, not what all the ads on Facebook tell you that you want, but what you want. Like really, like sit back, maybe grab a piece of paper and a pen and just write out, like, what are those things that you thought were too crazy that you might never achieve? Just write them out, just have fun with it. Like I remember my wife and I, we made a list of things that we said we wanted. And I remember back when we first graduated university, on my list was just to have like real maple syrup with my pancakes. Like I was, because we were in such a tight spot financially that we were stuck having like that fake stuff. And I was like, man, all I really want is just some real maple syrup to go with my pancakes. And it was something that seemed so far away because I was like, I could never justify spending like $7 or $8 on something that I'm just going to put on my pancakes. But now it's like I buy it without even hesitation because it's like it's something I want, right? And I've built myself up and my own self-identity up enough to raise my level of consciousness and my level of income to the level where I can afford it. So to gain clarity, the best way I can tell you is just sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and just write out whatever comes to mind of something that you want. And then if something really kind of pops out to you, okay, then expand on that. Why do you want it? What are some ways that you can start thinking of to, maybe what are 5 action steps you can take today to start going after that thing that you want? Okay. So get clear on what you want to do. So ask yourself how much by when, right? Like it can be money, it can be weight, it can be a new job, like anything, like how much by when. So what do you find fulfilling, meaningful, enjoyable, and important? That's the most important thing. Like what's something that you enjoy doing? Because a lot of people, and I was stuck in this too, I was chasing money for so long that I put my own health, my own mental sanity, and my own, spiritual body in such a state of distress and dis-ease that even though I was earning a higher income, I was miserable in in every other part of my life. And I was angry and I was taking it out on, my wife and my daughter, and it was just not a healthy time. But once I started finding something that I felt was fulfilling, meaningful, and enjoyable, everything changed. So I encourage you to really think about what do you find fulfilling, meaningful, enjoyable, and important? And ask yourself this question: if money wasn't an issue, how would you spend your time? So let's say, let's say you're like Bezos rich, okay? You're making like millions, you're making bank every single day. What would you do? Like, what would you do with your time? Would you volunteer at soup kitchens? Would you, build other businesses? Would you network with people? Would you create a killer Facebook group? Would you start that podcast that's been in the back of your mind for ages? What would you do? Would you build a car from scratch? Or rebuild like an old, like 1960s vehicle or like an old 1960s Mustang or something? Like, what would you do with your time? So if money wasn't an issue, how would you spend your time? And if you could pick, okay, I love this question. If you could pick 3 things to be remembered for after you die, what would they be? Think about that and write them down as well. So then I also encourage you to do the opposite. Okay, get clear on what you don't want, because pain can be a big enough driver as well to get your butt moving to say, I cannot stand this anymore. I need to make a change. So, what is wasting your time or draining you? What limiting beliefs are holding you back? And what are you prioritizing over pursuing your passion? So, to go back to my example, I was prioritizing earning a higher income instead of living out my mission and my purpose and my authentic self. Okay. So start taking action. You know, one of my favorite quotes is from Sean Candle from the YouTube channel Think Media. And he says, you just got to press record. You know, for any video that he does, you know, it's right at the beginning. You just got to press record. You just got to do it and take the action. So what are 5 things you could do today to help you towards your goal? Who are 5 people that you could reach out to for help? And what are 5 places you could find more information about your goal? Just start thinking about that. Just 5. Just chunk them down, write them down, whatever it takes. Just do it. So we're going to do a quick, I'm pretty mindful of time. We're going to do a quick tutorial on kind of how to build your self-confidence. So what is confidence? Now, for me, confidence is keeping the promises I make to myself. So if I say I'm going to do something, it means I'm going to do it. And it's also not caring what other people think. So you'll see I have a little list down there. So if you say you're going to do something, do it. Start small and build over time. I always say success stacks. So, you know, if you do something small and you have a short win, like, you know, say, yeah, hey, I worked out today. Great. Pat yourself on the back. Be excited about that. Okay. And then over time, you'll be like, okay, nice. I worked out today. I also reached out to 4 people that can help me grow my business. Awesome. Good job. And then keep growing it. Ask for help when you need it. This was a big one for me. I always had like a really big ego problem where I thought I could do everything myself. And because of that, I never asked for help when I needed it. But once I finally got to the point of saying, okay, I'm confident enough within my own body where I can ask someone for help and not be ashamed, everything changed. I'm telling you, ask for help if you need it and be authentically you. Don't worry about others' opinions. So you can see on the side here, I'm dancing with my daughter in the middle of a pavilion. And, you know, there was people around, people were looking, but I didn't care because I was having a good time. I was having fun. I was just being me, right? Like I'm someone who loves to dance. I love to sing. We were playing some music on YouTube and we just danced together for about 10 minutes. And I didn't care what anyone else thought. That is self-confidence. And then lastly, focus on service. Who can I help? How can I help them? How can I help that person grow their business? Who can I use as a referral to send to that person? Maybe there's someone that I know who could be a great client for that person, right? When you focus on service, I think it was Zig Ziglar that said, if I can help enough people get what they want, enough people will help get me what I want. So focus on service and focus on helping other people. And that's a big part of who I am. Like I love to just help people and see them grow and see them reach their goals. So how can you use the mind to build confidence? Use positive affirmations. I'm a huge believer in positive self-talk. Meditate. Spend even 5 minutes a day just in silence, listening to your own thoughts. And anchor yourself to confidence with a gesture. So we're going to go into that a little bit later too. So here's a list of some confidence affirmations that I use and I have used in the past. So some of them are like, I am enough. I am in control of my feelings and my mindset. All I need is within me now. I move confidently towards my goals. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better as I think I shall become. The smallest action can make a difference. I control how I feel. I can change my state in an instant. And you'll notice as I'm saying these, I'm saying them with passion. I'm saying them with energy. I'm saying them with all this built up energy within me because you don't become as you act, you become as you are. So if you can be the person who's confident, even just for while you're reading the affirmations, then be that person. How would the most confident you act? How would the most confident you say these affirmations out loud? And you don't have to say them in front of a whole bunch of people. You can just say them in front of your mirror, or you can go in your closet, or you can say them in your car, say them while you're driving. Doesn't matter to me where you do them. Just say them, and say them with force and energy and power, because you have it within you, my friend. Now let's talk about meditation. Let's go from being super energized down to being calm and peace and bliss. Okay, so sit still for about 5 to 15 minutes in the morning, or whenever works best for you. For me, I do it first thing in the morning, right after I wake up, for about 15 minutes. And I put my headphones on to block out any outside noise. And I just sit and I allow any messages to come in and give me guidance for the day. Okay, so I ask for guidance. So I start my meditation. I say, if there's any messages I need to know today, please let them come into my consciousness so I can act on them. And then set an intention of confidence for the day. If you're someone who lacks confidence, say, what is the best way that I can be my most confident self today? And let that intention flow. Or even just say, today I'm going to be, excuse me, sorry. Even just say, today I'm going to be my most confident self. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's talk about creating an anchor. Oh my God, I'm dying here. It's okay. So to create an anchor, determine how you want to feel. So that's confident, right? Okay. So the next thing you want to do is remember a time that you felt really confident and let that come to the front of your mind. So maybe it was that time back in 4th grade when you scored the winning goal in a soccer game, or maybe you did like a really great assignment, something that really boosted up your confidence. And then the next thing you want to do is keep that in the front of your mind. So keep that mental image there, and then set the anchor. So it could be, making a fist. It could be touching a ring. It could be making a fist. It could be, touching, your fingers together like this. Whatever kind of anchor point that you want to make. And then what you want to do is put yourself inside the memory and relive it as if it were happening now. So you have to be in the moment, not viewing it from the outside. So when you create that mental picture in your mind, if you scoring that goal, see your foot kicking the ball and getting it into the net. And when you feel it and you feel that confidence, set the anchor. And then every time that you're feeling low on confidence, touch your anchor point. And over time, as you do this more and more often, you're going to rewire your mind that every time maybe you touch your ring or you touch your middle finger or whatever it is, you're going to remember that memory and you're going to get yourself back in that state of being confident. Okay, if you need help, come back to this slide. Let me know in the comments what you think. So what's next? So there's a few additional resources. There's some links in the comments or in the description of this video where you can get some of my courses that I've made. There's 2 courses there. There's the How to Create an Abundance Mindset, which builds off of everything that I've taught here. It's got over 10,000 students enrolled right now on Udemy. And for anyone watching this, I've given out a special 30-day promo code. So you can get the absolute best price on it. It's only $12.99 Canadian or US, I think. I don't know, it's $12.99, but it goes further into detail on what I'm talking about here. If you liked my health transformation, how I dropped over 40 pounds of fat, I also have a course link there that's only $12.99. It's my health and nutrition basics course. So it goes through everything that I did to lose that weight and keep it off without doing any fad diets. And by just, working out every day, eating healthy, I teach you what to eat, how to eat, and when to eat. I also offer personalized coaching. So if you feel like I resonated with you and you feel like I could really help you on your journey, reach out, let's book a call. We can do a discovery call, kind of see where you're at. and we can go from there. I'm incredibly reasonable because I just focus on service, and I really want to help you grow and get to that next level. Another really cool thing is I just launched my Authentically Inspired podcast. So you'll see links to that in the description below. The first episode is coming out in a couple weeks. I talk with someone who's really interesting because she talks about mental health, and she talks about how she helps people grow their business mindset. So similar to what we're talking about here. And lastly, let's connect. I have a whole bunch of different ways that you can connect with me. My Instagram is just my name, @Jacob Lethbridge. You can join my Facebook group where I post almost daily content to help inspire, uplift you so you can live your most authentically inspired life. There's the link to the podcast RSS feed. You can check out my YouTube channel. I post there occasionally. I try to do it at least once a week. And lastly, you can find everything above and anything really that you need on my website, jacoblethbridge.com. Thank you so much for having me on this. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you watching, and I hope that you have a blessed rest of your life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jacob. That was absolutely amazing. And as we go through it, I want you to definitely access the programming that Jacob's doing. His courses already have more than 10,000 people on Udemy that have registered and given some great feedback on how he does it. And we get a glimpse, just a tiny glimpse of the amazing stuff that Jacob does, and how he's authentically changed his life. So sometimes the best way to live your life is through somebody else's footsteps. So if they've already paved the path for you, you don't need to pave a brand new path. You can follow some of what they need. And week after week, we constantly bring you new ways of healing, new ways of having an outlook towards achieving your goals and getting to where you want to be. And this is setting your goals is the first part of that process, I believe, and getting clear on what you want, having a burning desire. So I totally preach what you're saying there, Jacob. We did have a few questions, but I feel like as you were going along, you answered all of those questions. And I love the fact that you provided so many details and so many facets of how goal planning actually gets broken down and what are the pieces that are required. But for individuals that find that entire process really overwhelming, and goal planning, they just can't wrap their head around it, what's one thing that a person like that can do where they can move themselves forward?
It's a really great question, and it's honestly somewhere that I used to be as well. So don't feel bad if you're feeling overwhelmed right now. So when I always say, and like, this is what worked for me, you can find your own rhythm, but this is what worked for me. So a lot of people I find when they go to set a goal, they think of something really big, which is what I encourage them to do, right? Like, think big, because if you can think it, you can achieve it. But then they think, okay, now I have to do this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and then the overwhelm starts coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So what I advise people to do, and what I do myself, is I say, okay, I build out that kind of mind frame. Say, okay, these are all the things that have to get done. Okay, there they are. What's one thing I can focus on? So the other ones, they don't even matter right now. What's the one thing out of this list that I can achieve today? And then I do that. And then once that's done, I move to the next, right? Like, you don't have to do everything at once. And I feel like as entrepreneurs, as people who just want to set goals, we think we have to do everything at once because we set this time limit for ourselves where for some reason we set this time where we have to do everything in such a short period of time, when really, time is all relative. Like, you'll achieve your goal when you go after it and you start taking the action. If you're just sitting there consistently overwhelmed that you have a million things to do, then you're never going to take that action on that one small thing that you could do today to get you towards that goal. Like I said earlier, those small steps add up. So if you're someone who feels overwhelmed at going after a big goal, I say just start small. what if it's a health and fitness journey? Okay, can I get out and walk for 10 minutes?
Mhm.
Sure, anyone can do that. I walk for 10 minutes around my house, just like running around, but it's those little things, and then build as you start to build that confidence, and that overwhelm starts to go down. But if you look at something as huge as like this big goal and all the different facets in it, you're going to feel overwhelmed. So start small and do the little things first.
Exactly. And you know what? If it says, and this is my advice, chips, if it says that I'm gonna have, a handful of chips instead of the whole bag, then so be it. But I love how you broke that down. There's so many examples in our life. I'd like to peer back to one of the conversations that we were having, that oftentimes goals, people look for something tangible that they can hold. And I know you covered that when you were talking as well. But we want to talk about goals in terms of how you improve yourself. So I just want you to touch on the conversation that you had slightly, because I just feel like it had a lot of value and a lot of people can really benefit from understanding it.
Yeah, so that's a really great question as well. And I believe that like a big part of, setting goals doesn't always have to be something tangible. It can be just getting yourself in a better mental state. So for example, with me, like right now, I've been doing something called shadow work. And it's really kind of bringing out that inner child in me of like, okay, what went wrong in my childhood that's holding me back now as an adult, right? This is not something tangible that I can grab. Like I can't reach back to my 4-year-old self and say like, oh my God, like, I wish that I was hugged more or something, right? So when you do the kind of inner work and spiritual work, like this is why I really preach about meditation and why it's so good for your mental health and your stress levels, because it will bring you down so much and it will just center you and ground you. And like chakra healing, Reiki, all that kind of stuff is so good for your soul, I believe anyway. And when you can do that kind of inner work, you can create a space for yourself to be okay with who you are now. So a big thing that I had to work through was my actually fear of success. And it's kind of like a weird, like so many people, you go, oh yeah, well, I want success. I want all this kind of stuff. But like, and while you might fear failure, fear of success is a real thing too. And when I was going through it, I was thinking, okay, like if I, when I get rich, when I get famous, when I'm doing all of these big things, what are people going to ask from me for? Like, are people going to want my money? Are people going to want my time? Like what am I going to have to give up? And then I realized by being in that state, I was putting myself in a state of disempowerment. And by doing that, I allowed myself the opportunity to ask questions to grow from that. So I said, okay, well, if I have enough money, then it's up to me if I want to give it away, or I'll have an abundance of it that I'll freely give it away. Or I don't remember the other point I just said, but but like if you're in that kind of state of, fearing that success or fearing the failure, I just believe now that like life is just a brilliant gift. And that if we just have enough confidence within ourselves to say like, it doesn't matter what kind of tangible things I have. If I'm happy being me, then, happiness comes from within. Happiness doesn't come from, the nice sports cars, from like the multi-million dollar mansions, because like you can buy a shed for $1 million in Toronto these days. But,
That's so true.
right. It doesn't come from like an $80 million like house, right? Like if you could be miserable in that house and have all this money, but you can see someone maybe on the street who's, doesn't have anything, but is still happy. And I believe truly that if you can find a way to be happy with yourself and ask yourself the tough questions, like, okay, why am I feeling this emotion right now? And the best way to do it is if you look at someone that you don't like. Okay, why don't you like that person? What kind of emotions are coming up in your head that you're saying, I don't like this about that person? Why not? And once you start to do that, you start to see you see yourself through a different lens, and you almost see yourself from the outside in. And once you can do that, you can start to do that self-work and that inner work to say, okay, this is something I want to heal, or this is something I need to expel out of me. I hope that makes sense.
It does. It all makes sense. And I love the fact that you cover fear of success, because as we do not realize it, a lot of us actually have not fear of failure, but fear of success. Who am I going to look like? What is life going to look like? What will people want of me? What will my time look like?
Yeah.
And who will I become? And getting scared of actually doing the task, or constantly giving up opportunities and being stuck in where you are, that's signs of fear of success. So I love the fact that you covered that, and I love the fact that all of the healing is so connected, and you talk about shadow work, Reiki, all those kinds of things. And we recently had Jody Lynn Craven on, and she
Yeah.
talked a lot about fear of success. And because, recognize that even most people don't recognize that that's their problem. So asking those questions, because money is the things that scare us the most. So getting to that, I think I can sit here for hours and hours and start asking you questions about goal planning and the process of self-development. Everybody's journey looks a little bit different. See what resonates with you, but go through that process, because you're worth that process. Anxiety, hurt, depression, we all go through it. We all have bad days, but it's about what we do to get back up. The forgiveness that we have for ourselves. And sometimes other people may judge us, but do we judge ourselves? So I want you to take a look at all of those questions. I want you to do that for yourself, because it's not something that we constantly do. We've been through the journeys, we go through the journeys. And that's why we're here to talk about it and display how important it is, because when you come out on the other side, life is absolutely beautiful. So we'll be back next week, actually, with me talking about finances, and I will be covering a lot of the stuff that people talk about with anxiety, goals, and moving forward with your finances, and how there's room with everything. And as we also talked about real estate, we often get asked for real estate webinars, so we will be having one soon. As well, we will be having roundtable discussions on different types of topics, and paranormal activity is a roundtable discussion that we have coming up by popular demand, reconciling your spirituality with the paranormal world. It's so fun having all those discussions. Thank you again, Jacob, for joining us and being a part of the Public Allies team. We are super blessed to entire team. And again, everybody, we got the civic award for our city. We are really happy to achieve that award and be serving our community. So thank you again, and bye-bye from us. Take care and have a great week, and we'll see you next week again. Bye-bye.